I hate those chatty microwaves too. They're the worst, Bill. All right. And it looks like we are live and able to go. Wonderful. All right. Hello, everyone. Welcome back to our book chat. It's so fantastic to have you here. I'm your host, Madame Askew. Most of you know who I am. And this month we are discussing the absolutely delightful, in my opinion, Rust in the Root by Justina Ireland. Of course, you never have to agree with me. We don't all have to like the same thing, but I certainly do hope you enjoyed the book. So we've read some works by Justina Ireland before. I love that Lady Junesquell and I both read in the same manner on our digital devices. I don't have a physical copy either, but I do have a copy in my little tricorder. And so we've read a couple of her books in the past. We read Dread Nation and Deathless Divide. So it's wonderful to return to her work. This is one of our adjacent to steampunk works. It's a little bit further into the future. It's set during what would be considered the era of the Great Depression here in North America. And I don't know if that's what people called it all over the world, but it was a global phenomenon, economic depression everywhere, really devastating. And Miss Ireland takes her own sort of look at that depression through a different lens, through a fantastical lens. So we're going to talk a little bit about that. Thank you, Karen. Karen confirms it was called the Great Depression in Australia too. I really appreciate that. So I want to go around the room. I'm going to open with my usual question, and Bill, this time you have to answer too. I'm so sorry, my friend. Shocking. This book had an incredible cast of characters, and so I feel like my question is going to be more thorny, if you will, because there are so many amazing characters. Terry, I'm going to start with you. And oh, I know Karen's like, not this time. I don't have to start. Whew, relief. So, Terry, who was one of your favorite characters from the book?
I would say Crystal.
Mm, okay. Yes. So, uh, we have more space to be more cheeky today. So I'm going to ask you a follow-up because I will share something. At first, when Crystal first came on the page, I was like, I'm going to hate this character.
Yep.
And then, I mean, it changed for me. I grew to like her. But I'm curious, what was it that you really liked about her? And did you have the same experience where initially you were like, oh, I don't know about this character?
Exactly. I thought she was a real airhead and party liner. But she was loyal. She's going to sound like a puppy here. Brave. I mean, when she skewered, what's his name? Oh,
Um,
well,
oh no. Oh
it
no.
wasn't Smoke.
No, it was Onyx, wasn't it?
Yes, yes. When she
Yeah.
skewered Onyx, I went, yep, that's my girl.
Yeah.
Um, and she was brave, obviously. She was willing to leave the security of the establishment to go and help her friend.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
she just was amazing to me.
You know what? She has what the young people call some real golden retriever energy. But she
Yeah,
really is one of those characters that we get to see this incredible story arc for her, even
yeah,
though she's a secondary character. Really beautifully handled, I think.
yeah. I
Terry,
think
I'm
she could
so,
hold her own in her own book.
yes, I agree. I'm so glad you brought Crystal up right
Yep,
out of the gate. That's so
yep.
delightful. All right, Lady June Squirrel, looking fabulous, my darling. Who was one of your favorite characters from the book?
Oh, Miss Fox. Miss
Yes,
Miss Miss Fox. Oh, you wearing a fox? Okay.
I
Miss
am.
Fox
Yeah.
and her ligaboo.
Yes. Oh my
Yes,
gosh.
nothing like a shapeshifter. You want me to
Well,
be a girl? I can be a girl. Hey, whatever you want.
I'm very flexible. No, and from the moment she hit the page, she was such a vibrant character, and I was so intrigued by her. I just absolutely wanted to know so much about her, right? She's a
So,
great character. Lady June Squill, I suspect you and she would have a wonderful tea time together.
oh, me and the Ligaboo or me and Miss Fox?
Why not both?
I'm a little old.
Why not both? All right. Thank you, my darling.
Thank
Okay,
you.
Sharon, who was one of your favorite characters to sort of get us started here?
Oh, so many. First of all, so many. But I was kind of intrigued by Alistair, which is a tertiary character, I think,
Yes,
who was working in the tailor shop, who was the boss
yes,
at the tailor shop.
yeah,
And I was intrigued because her name was blacked out of the journal that was written by um, oh shoot, hold on, by Skylark. So as
yeah.
Skylark was writing her report, Alistair's name was blacked out. And when I
Ooh,
saw the blackout, I'm like, ooh, okay, what's going to happen with this? Why is it blocked? Because this is a
yeah,
document she was writing to her superiors. So her superiors should know all about Alistair. So that was kind of like, and Alistair can make the most lovely clothing and they stayed clean. And I don't know, they probably repaired themselves and they all matched instantly when you just pull them. I don't know. It's like, I feel like, okay, this is all those skills that I do not have. So I would love to
yeah.
have
Alistair's
clothes
a
that
great
instantly fit
character.
me.
I really wanted that valise so much so that when I'm traveling, I could always pull out something that's perfectly crisp and fresh and pressed and everything. That was so nice.
Yeah.
Alistair and her assistant,
Barbara.
uh, Barbara, they were wonderful, wonderful characters. And we've got a lot of chat about like how we all want to know why was Alistair's name blacked out? And we've got some theories. So Bill, let's put a pin in that. And if we should come back to that because that's a really interesting bit of inquiry. Why was Alistair's name blacked out? And yes, and why was the Skylark hiding her identity?
And
So,
I know she knew a lot about the possibilities,
ooh,
a lot about the, so she knew a lot about that. But yeah, I was just really, I wanted to know more about her, and there wasn't any more about her. I'm like, I kept waiting for it to show back up in the book.
right. Yes, yes. I really want a sequel, honestly. All right. Ronald, hello, my friend. Welcome back to Book Club. It's so lovely to see you. You are muted. I may be
There
able
we go.
to.
There we
There
are.
we go. All
There we
right,
are.
good. Good.
Ah,
Welcome.
glad to be here. Glad to
It's
be
good
on
to have
time
you,
today.
friend. You made it. You
Well,
made it.
my my favorite, actually, my favorite character is probably is Laura, but
Mm,
she's so dominant in the thing. But actually, today I was going over the book and looking for names and all of that, and actually, Crystal popped right up as she was one that I remembered. I read the book about 10 days ago or so,
mm,
and I've read a couple books in between, so it's not as fresh in my memory as I would like it to be.
yeah. Yeah.
But Laura, at first I thought, man, she's a real blowhard, you know. She she's just full of herself at the very beginning, and and then I realized that she's got reason to be, and
Mm,
she doesn't realize it. And I
mhm,
think part of it is she's just trying to she wants very little at the beginning. she wants to, get her license so that she can open her bakery shop, which I think is fine. That's really good. And
Yeah.
and I'm going like, boy, this woman, this young lady is, she's got a lot. She's thinking about a lot more than that bake shop, and then that just slowly but surely comes out, and I'm going, ooh, there's more to her than I thought there was. And I love the first encounter they have where they go into uh, and they're fixing the machinery there or whatever, and they're binding it with the revels and all that. And when she gets in her combat mode, and she very casually creates a dragon, and I'm going, whoa, I love this, I love this. And what else is she going to do? And then, of course, she's the chosen one, I guess. And so she was just overwhelming for me. But I really enjoyed her. I thought she was a lot of fun. She was a fun character. But this whole book is full of great characters. I loved every
Absolutely.
one of them. I loved even the smalls, even the bad guys. I like them. But I
Yeah.
did like it. I did like it when August got his. He deserved that.
Yes, he did.
So I really thought a lot of this book. There's a
Yeah.
lot I'd like to say about it, but maybe that'll come out later. But I don't want to
Yes.
hog everybody's time.
Well, thank you, Ronald. I'm so glad you brought up Laura the Peregrine. She is a great primary character of the story, just fantastic. And it's like all of these characters go on a journey, which I think is really fun to witness as the reader. All right, Karen, you've dodged your bullet only so long. Now is your turn. Who is one of your favorite characters? As an author and reader, I think you've got your own singular insight.
Well, Ronald, I read it last month, so I've read two books. So I've been trying to this morning go through it like mad. But when I said to myself, well, I do like Laura, and the fact that she does what she does without having any control about what her fate is. But when I thought, what is my favorite character? It was Miss Fox, I must admit. She's terribly mysterious. Uh, and yeah, and I must admit also, I love the dragon because we always expect the dragons to be like all powerful and everything. And this one just goes, hang on, I have to go and ask my mum. So it just, I must admit, I did like that. But yeah, I think if I had to pick one favorite, it'd be Miss Fox. But there's just so many to choose from. It was like, ah. So I'm glad you didn't ask me that question first. I did actually have it written down here, though. So, yeah.
Oh, good, good. I'm glad you had notes. Now, look, I love all the characters, and so I get to cheat by asking all of you instead who you liked best.
What your favorite character is?
Turnabout is fair play, and I really like Skylark.
Yeah.
So I think she's such a great linchpin to the story, and also has great sense of style. And I really appreciate a lady who can hold her own and be fashionable at the same time. So
I mean, almost every character you can come up with something saying that's my favorite character. Oh no, that's my favorite character. Oh no, that's my favorite character. Yeah, yeah, it was hard.
absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. All right, Marty, it's your turn. Who was one of your favorite characters from the story?
Grimalkin.
Grimalkin. Oh my gosh, yes, absolutely. Grimalkin. First of all, what a great name. I love that name.
Did I
It's
pronounce
so
it
good.
right?
Yes, you did.
Okay. Okay. I love the way, her affinity for animals. So
Yes.
I don't even have a number two. She's by far and away my
Your
favorite.
favorite. Your favorite. She's just a great character, and I love all of her creature companions too. And she's a very grounded character, I think. She's like she doesn't have time for idiots, but also she's like very, very perceptive about reality. I love everything about her. So
I think if she were a witch, though, she'd be a hedge witch because she's very practical.
mhm.
Doesn't take any prisoners.
No.
if you read Terry Pratchett, I think she would be Granny.
Mm. Yes, she,
Yeah.
yes, yes, absolutely. She absolutely has some Granny Weatherwax energy to her.
Yes, she does.
Not a golden retriever, that one.
No,
A
no,
little
no, no.
bit. She's got some cat energy,
Yes,
honestly.
she does. Well, she becomes a cat,
Yeah.
obviously. Yes.
So,
But even as a cat, she's still her own. She's still the Grimalkin.
yes,
And I meant to
yes.
look up and see if it means anything. Do you happen to know, is that just a random name, or does it mean something?
No, it is not a random name. As Alicia says, Grimalkin is a term for a witch's familiar. It
Oh, I did not know
is
that.
a historical term, and it's bandied about in Shakespeare and things like that. So, and as Bill says, it was also a popular name for cats in the UK for a long time. So, yeah, I was delighted. I immediately knew cats were involved as soon as I saw her name on the page. So, yeah. Oh, thank you, Marty. All right, Scone Mistress. I know you have opinions about this book because we've been chatting about it. Who was one of your favorite characters?
Well, to quote Crystal, what mother would name their baby after a predatory bird? Bill Bowden, you came for me with that quote because I know you picked this book. No, I love the Peregrine, and I'm definitely going to be getting a copy of this book to add to my shelf of books that share my dog name.
Yes, no, I we had talked about that bit, and I'd gotten past that part by the time we had our conversation. But it is such a funny moment in the and knowing you and knowing your child's name and all of that just adds to the delight of that moment. And I don't know if your child grows up to be like the Peregrine from this book, you are in for a handful, my darling.
I do have to give a tiny honorable mention to one of my favorite quotes in the book because it's a character who's only there for like a page, but the water snake that goes to get the dragon, it was just like mission of certain death, one less cousin eater. Hold that. Let me go get you a dragon.
So great. Yes, absolutely. No, every character I think that's on the page in this book is so vibrant that this is actually a really terrible question I'm asking all of you. So,
yeah, and again, I'm going to take a tiny bit on the dragon because the dragon comes into a very pivotal, like, we're going to certain doom, right? And then the dragon is just this breath of fresh air, like, my mom says I can go. Let's go eat things. And then he turns into
so
an eating
excellent.
fucking dragon, and I'm just like, my heart.
I'm so delighted. I love dragons beyond all things. So I was just happy there was a dragon, but this is a great character. So thank you,
Also,
Scone Mistress.
I kept bugging Ian that he needed to read. He mostly does ebooks. I've literally been bugging him for like a whole week that he needed to start reading it, and I was desperately trying not to spoil the title of the main character. And last night he was listening, and suddenly he texted me, "Peregrine," and I'm like, "Yes, I have been holding that in."
Yes. Yeah, it's so good. No, everyone needs to read this book. It's so lovely, right? It's such a great read. Yeah. Thank you, Robin. Thank you. Oh my gosh, Lady Junesquell is wearing dragon pants. How perfect for today. All right, Chuck. Hello, friend. It's so good to see you. Who was one of your favorite characters?
Hello, hello. Again, thank you and Bill for getting us all together, get this great group together. It's always a good afternoon. Nice way to spend the day. Afternoon. Ugh. All right. Well, this is a very challenging question with this book because the author did such an amazing job with creating the characters and making everything so believable and so real and how they all interacted and I like how they came together and it's just, but I liked Laura, the Peregrine. with so much sass and so much tenacity and so much, well, that didn't work. Well, so I'm going to do this. And it's like, well, all right, well, then bam. Yeah. It was just an awesome read.
Really a great read. And I must admit, neither Bill nor I read this book before we chose it. We picked it based on the strength of Justina Ireland's previous works, and it sounded really interesting. And then we got to this book and we were like, oh, good job us. This is a really great read. How
Indeed.
delightful. Yeah.
Yes, I was intimidated because there's 700 pages. Like, oh, I'm hopefully going to get this done, and I got it done in like a week. And I was like, I could not put this book down. It was so good.
I'm so pleased you enjoyed it.
Mhm.
And yeah, no, Peregrine is such an incredible character, isn't she? She's
Mhm.
just really jumps off the page. So, all
Indeed.
right, Chuck. Alicia, looking very studious. My friend,
I
who was one of your favorites?
um I, definitely the dragon with the toddler energy. Um, but certainly Grimalkin. I was because it's not Nordic mythology, it's Celtic mythology. Because Grimalkin is the familiar of Cat Sith.
Oh, yes, thank you. Thank
I'm like,
you.
I know this is folklore. What is this? I know this.
Yes, thank you. I knew that it had like a storied connection through
Yeah.
English literature because it comes up so much in Shakespeare
Yeah, I'm reading a whole book
yeah.
going, I know this. I know this.
And she's such a great character. She really has that like from the beginning, sort of cat energy, even before you know what her story is going to be.
Right.
And yeah.
And she's just kind of like she just has this kind of you know what? If you're going to be a dick, I'm going this way. You go this way because
Yeah.
you're a dick.
Oh, yes. And to clarify for Marty, who asked which folklore, I didn't hear clearly. Celtic folklore, Cat Sith is like mostly,
Yeah.
I think it's Scottish
Hmm.
Celtic folklore, a magical trickster creature. And as so many of them are, honestly. So.
Yeah.
Great connections. Thank you so much for making those connections for us, Alicia. For
Yes.
those of us who did not know, appreciate it.
Okay.
All right, Cindy Joy. Uh, who was one of your favorite characters?
You caught me typing. Well, like Chuck, I ripped through this book and finished it quickly, and I loved all the characters, and now I'm slogging through a 588-page book where I don't like any of the characters.
Oh no! Oh no! We've
So yeah,
spoiled
I was
you.
thinking today now when I get to book club, who am I going to say I liked? I don't like any of these people, but but this book I liked all the characters and yeah, so I like Peregrine just because she's like this small town girl who's like, yeah, I can't stand this anymore. I'm going to the big city. I'm going to live my dreams. Can't hold me back. Quit telling me what I can't do. I'm going to do it. And yeah, and and she doesn't wind up actually doing what she said she was going to. Her plans changed, obviously.
Yes.
And if I had anything with foxes on it, I would have foxes on. And I'm surprised you don't have your hat.
Oh, I honestly I thought about wearing my hat, but it's almost 80 degrees here today. And
Well, it's snowing tomorrow, so
yeah. Oh, well, Lady Jude's was like, I wore my hat, madam.
yeah, she wore her hat. But
And
yeah,
so fetching too. Yeah. Yeah.
yeah,
No, it's we had a little bit of cool off, but it's still quite warm here.
yeah.
So I chickened out. Yeah.
So
But it's
I'm gonna tell you
very
what my
comfy.
favorite side character is, though.
Yes. Yes. Yes.
The wyvern in the well. I really loved the wyvern in the well.
Yes.
It's just like,
Yes.
whoa, what a great water purification thing, and like to keep the magic around the house and just
So
like
great.
protective shell. That was really, I was like, Okay, now how are they going to explain this house in the middle of all this horror?
Right.
Wyvern in the
Yes.
well.
Wyvern in the well.
Yeah, I liked
It
that.
was,
But
yeah, no,
dragon did also. I almost wore my dragon scale dress, and I was like, yeah. But this feels very Celtic, so I wore my Celtic spiral dress instead. But,
perfect. No, there's a lot of wonderful animal characters, cryptids in the story as well.
I love
So
all the
it's just a great cast of characters.
and that Grimalkin comes back as a cat, and it's just like it has just total cat energy. It's just,
Big cat energy from her. Yeah, absolutely.
but
Well,
really,
thank you, Cindy.
really loved all the characters, and you
It's
made
so
me
good.
just didn't. Yeah, yeah. I'm having yeah. Listening to everybody
Yeah,
go, yeah, that's my favorite character. That's my yeah.
they're all so good. They're all so good.
Also
Yeah.
good. Yeah.
Thank you, Cindy. All right. Kelsey, you, like Karen, come at this as an author and a reader. So who is one of your favorite characters?
So like what everybody's been saying, every character has felt very alive to me in this, so it's really hard for me to pick a favorite, but I'm also in Team Peregrine because my heart was in my chest every single time she talked about her bake shop and Shirley Temple and Clark
Yeah.
Gable, and all she wanted to do with her amazing powers was open that bake shop. And boy, I know that she did what she needed to do, but I really, really wanted her to be able to have that life. And when she lost the luggage, I'm not even going to pretend to know how to pronounce Felice, maybe, I don't know.
It's
um
Felice.
Thank you. I'm like one of those people who pronounce words how they're spelled, and that does not always work out very well for me.
Yeah.
um but I just, my heart broke for her so many times in this because she just wanted the big shop, and like it, I just, I really, really was rooting for her in this, and I just found her to be very believable. I loved that first interaction with the unicorn. I just thought that was so funny whenever she's in the park, and I'm just like, okay, I love her. And then whenever we get to the files and we keep talking about her demise, and I'm like, please no, please
Yeah.
no. So
Yeah.
I'm gonna have to go with the Peregrine, even though I love the other characters too. I just thought she was so well written and felt so very human,
Mm,
and I just love her a lot. I could keep reading
yeah.
about her.
No, I really want a sequel or two or three. I would definitely read more about all of these characters in this world. I have to admit, I read the ending very early to assuage my tender heart about some things because same, my friend, absolutely.
Usually I can tell with whether or not it's how something's going to end just because it beats. It's not a skill issue. It's just the author doing their job. But this time I'm like, I don't know. And that doesn't happen to me very often.
Right. Yeah, no, it was like, oh no, this feels like the sort of book where things might not work out. Oh no. Yeah, absolutely. Thank you, Kelsey. All right, Laura. Hello, friend. It's so good to see you.
Hi, it's good to be here. Got my computer to cooperate today. So,
So
um,
exciting. Welcome back. All right, so who was one of your favorite characters?
well, the Peregrine, of course, was one of my favorite characters because she has my name, and I have a weakness for all characters who have my name.
Yes,
And
yes.
um, and I love that whenever she had like the voice of doubt in her head, it sounded like her sister. That made me happy
Mhm.
too. And of course, all of the wonderful things that she could do because she's, the main character. And I also I was going to talk about the Wyvern in the Well too, 'cause like Cindy Joy.
Yes,
I just thought that was an
yes.
awesome detail, that there was this, bastion of safety in the middle of the blight because of the Wyvern in the well. So,
And boy, didn't they need that bastion of safety at that moment. They needed a little reprieve. So at the Weaven in the well, the Welven, was really a very charming little character. Yeah, absolutely. Thank you, Laura. And also every time I read about the character and saw her name as Laura, I must admit I thought about you. So there you are. All right, Bill, it is your time. Who was one of your favorite characters?
Well, I'm on Team Grimalkin. Uh, I mean, without actually coming out and saying it, it was fun watching the way that Justina wrote the character such that she had a pretty good idea of what was going on, but she kept her mouth shut.
Yes.
It's like,
Yes.
I don't want to get anybody in trouble. I know what's part of what's happening here. So, but she was great, and also the Wyvern was really intriguing. And I believe one of the people who was rescued, one of the strange fruit people, was the witch whose house they had been in.
Yes.
Isn't that right?
Yes, it was. That is correct.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. No, and that's so, I mean, that was like a nice little happy like finish in the epilogue.
Yeah.
It made me feel really good that that circle was closed, both because it gave our main little group of characters a place to be, but also it answered questions, closed the loop on that house, right? And that was a very nice little literary moment. Yeah.
Agreed. Yeah.
I want the Welvin to be all right, So
Such amazing world building that she did in this book. I mean, she had interesting stuff to start with, and all of the, for lack of a better term, all the baggage with race issues and race relations we have in this country. She
yeah,
worked so many of them into this
yeah,
story in really, I mean, in intriguing ways, and ways that made you think about it. Again, the strange fruit thing immediately comes to mind. Uh,
absolutely.
reference to people being lynched.
Yeah.
But yeah, that just really, really skillful. I'm filled with admiration for her after this book. And Madam and I were talking about this just really briefly before we started, that I liked this one better than Dread Nation, which we
Yeah.
read a couple years ago in book club. I
Yeah.
think it was 2022, maybe.
I think so, maybe. Yeah.
But yeah,
It's been a minute.
it has been a while. But yeah, this was fantastic. I really like this book a lot.
I want to answer Kelsey's question in the comments because I want everyone to pick up Justina Ireland's works and read them because I have loved everything I've read by her. So to answer your question, Kelsey asked, is the world building like this in Dread Nation? It is very vivid and very well realized and draws from history in similar ways to tackle some of these complex issues. But I think that she goes even deeper and that it's even more flushed out, and that the magic system is more intricate in this book. Um, Also, I believe Dread Nation and the sequel, um, which the title just whipped out of my head, while both young adult, which is not a dig, but it's got a little bit of a different register of writing and a little bit different complexity level of character interactions. It's very appropriate for the kind of story that's being told. So this one is just a little bit meatier, and so it was even more to my taste. I like them all, but this one is my personal favorite of the three. So, all right. And other people may have other opinions, but that is my answer to your question. But speaking about the world building, let's get into it a little bit. We've talked about the characters. There's so many rich characters. This is a story that is about the plot, but the characters fuel that, right? So there's a lot of really interesting things going on in this incredible world she's built. And one of those things is Skylark and her quest and her secrets and all of the things she holds back from the government and from her bosses. Let's start with our theories about why she doesn't want to divulge Alistair's name. So this is not a question for anyone in particular, but if you shared a theory for why you think she obscures Alistair's information, please unmute yourself or raise your hand and share your theory. Why is Alistair hidden by Skylark? Many theories. I know you all shared many theories in the comments. All right, Karen, unmute yourself.
Oh,
yes.
Go.
Yes, please.
I'm trying to remember the story. As I said, it's since last month. But I feel like she's outside the system, and maybe she's a secret that only some people know about. And I mean, if you've got this person who does these glorious outfits for you and everything like this, you sort of want to keep them secret anyway. But I'm wondering whether she is doing one of the prohibited magics, or she doesn't have a proper license or something. There's something, but I feel like she's outside the system. Whether she is a spy or not, I don't know. But I think she's either managed to keep outside the system because people keep her secret because she does these wonderful clothes and stuff like that, and they don't want to lose it, or because she's got something on someone somewhere and is managing to keep out. But I feel like she's outside the system and wants to stay there, and people are willing to let that slide.
Yeah, maybe that's a great insight. All right, Cindy Joy, you had your hand up. What are your thoughts? Why keep Alistair secret?
Well, I'm afraid that Karen and I are on the same page, that I think she's outside the system in some way, that she is partially in hiding. She's like hiding in plain sight, and there's someone that needs to not know that she's there, and that she's, whether it's that she's not licensed, or she's she's mixing magics, which oh, the horror.
I wore my clutching pearls.
Clutch your pearls, yeah. But in some way she needs to be hidden away, or or she did something in the past that people in power would be angry that she had done.
I find it really interesting that multiple people have latched on to maybe she's a spy, maybe she has like some secret knowledge. There is alluded that her name, Alistair, is like a family name, sort of like maybe she comes from a quite powerful family of significance. But also, so this will give you a little illumination on my character, and the things I look for as a reader. She's queer. And so I was like, oh, my assumption was, well, she's a queer person and she's powerful, but she's not working for the system. And so she's being protected a bit because being an out gay person is not acceptable under the eyes of the law at that time. And so,
right?
Yeah.
And
so,
but Peregrine is also queer.
Yes, there are multiple queer characters in the story. Yeah.
Yeah, which I don't know. I tend to, yeah.
I mean, I would not call this a book about queerness, but I appreciated that there were queer characters and they were handled thoughtfully. And so I'd sort of just accepted that she was hidden because of that nature. But I think you're on to something, that there's more to it than simply like obscuring her identity. Oh my God. All right, Kelsey, it's your turn. I'm sorry. I don't want you to explode.
It's
Don't
okay, because
explode,
when you said
Kelsey.
that, it clicked into place for me too. Because yes, to all the other reasons for why she's hidden, but I do think that she's hidden because very specifically because of her partner. Because I don't remember her partner's name. Yes, Peregrine is also queer, but she died in the files as far as the government's concerned, and she's powerful, but it was like very much the bury your gaze trope, but flipped on its head because we know that that's not where she went. So we
Right.
don't have as far as the government is concerned, we don't have this powerful queer mage still alive. Whereas somebody like Alistair, she's foreign, she's powerful, she has a partner with huge gifts, and she's like out queer, like she doesn't do anything to hide that. So like that's why I was ready to explode, because I'm like, oh my God, I think that it might be as simple as that. Is that she's
Right.
foreign and queer and she has a powerful partner. And
Yeah.
probably no secrets because of being a tailor and stuff like that. But yeah. So
Yeah.
anyway.
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
I mean,
No.
it's complicated, but yeah, it is 1939, and it's that's the reality of yeah.
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 Yeah. So
And
Sharon is waving her hand. Sharon, what are your thoughts?
I just think she's a threat to the government. In
Mm.
some way, she is a threat to them. Like people are saying, that she's mixing magic. I think that she is a wonderful, like I imagine her, and I don't remember if they said what city she was in, but I feel like she came from New Orleans. I feel like she came from voodoo. I feel like she came from, like for whatever reason, I feel like that's her origin story, and that so she was a practitioner of witchcraft with a Y,
Yes.
in her earlier life. And the government in this push for the mechomancy, that she had the possibilities of organization of people is what I feel like, because she was a person that people would go to, and the people would, I feel like she is a glue for some kind of organization, like for people that are on the outskirts of the
Yeah.
government's knowledge, that she's that hub.
Yeah.
She's that hub, and I feel like she's a threat to the government. So her friends in the government are keeping her secret now. As we're
Yes.
talking about
Yes.
this is kind of like, oh, I bet that's what it is, because she is a threat. She could take it down to
Mm.
show that, yeah, witchcraft is okay, and there's a whole throng of people who are doing this.
Right. Well,
um
and she's queer in lots of ways. And one of the things I like about this book is it references a lot of historically significant things,
yes,
including the Harlem Renaissance.
yes.
And Alistair
Oklahoma.
and her partner perfectly fit into
Mm,
the Harlem Renaissance and are really good exemplars of
mm,
that sort of lived
mm.
experience. And so I love them, but I think you're all onto something, that she's very powerful. And so a threat to the status quo at the very least. Yeah.
Mhm.
Yes. Thank you, Sharon. Anyone else want to? Yes, Scone Mistress, please.
Well, two things. One, am I remembering correctly that Alistair had come back from England, and that's where the
Yes.
gin had come from?
Yes.
So it's like, okay, because we're talking about prohibition, and the way it's been presented is prohibition of magic, but is it also prohibition of alcohol?
That is never clarified. We never discuss the access to alcohol in the story, or at least I don't remember any discussion of alcohol prohibition.
Also, this one has just come home.
Hello, hello. We're talking about your future daughter's career as a powerful mage. So,
I think the thing I liked about the book series, it's probably been mentioned, is they throw you into the deep end with world building, and there's no condescension to the reader about how to explain how things go. Especially with like like you were just saying, like prohibition against magic versus like prohibition against alcohol. And there's a lot of complex world building that they're just revealing as it goes, right? Like,
yes.
but it's not like, it's just enough to not be confused. So it's slowly blossoming out. I'm probably like 4 hours into 12 to the audiobook, so I'm still diving into it. And is this a series or is this just a one-off book right now?
So far, just one. And I'm in the, I would like more books, please.
Kat. We need more books. We need. We need these characters.
Sending letters to the publisher and begging, that's always a good, good option. Also
release to all the people we know and be like, okay, who is going to an event that Justine Ireland is going to be at? Please, we needs.
Also, tell all your friends to buy the book or check it out from the library so that more popularity gets more books. So,
already done.
Yeah, good job. All right, thank you, Scone Mistress. Thank you, Ian, for popping in. So let's talk a little bit, and as Kelsey says, book sales definitely help sequels to happen. It's very important. This is true for any book, series, or author. You really have to help them sell those books. All right, Alicia, would you like to lead us off talking about the world building in terms of replacing alcohol prohibition with magic prohibition?
Brain good right now. I sort of feel like she just replaced it so that instead of us regulating alcohol, we decided to regulate magic. Mm-hmm. And honestly, it does fit. If you look at okay, I'll try and keep it brief. So during Prohibition, or in the lead up to Prohibition, you had the distillers who were making hard liquors and then the wine and port and things. And they were in this dead heat to make the other group seem so evil and terrible. You would only stop their stuff, but not theirs. And the campaigns that they were doing to say gin is bad and you should drink alcohol or you should drink wine and blah, 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 especially in the South, are massively racist. Oh my God. They're awful. They're horrible. They're terrible. And I think if she doesn't know about this history, I would be surprised because a lot of that is in there in very subtle ways. And so I do think I think alcohol is just fine. It's just she's using the magic as the let's further what's the word? Further make smaller.
Yeah, the analog there. Well, also, I think you're right that it helps illuminate the racist context around prohibition in a way that often gets lost in that conversation in our modern popular culture. So it's a great topic. Yeah, and as Laura says, prohibition ended in the early 1930s here in the States, and 1936. Yeah, Karen, yes, jump in, please.
Yeah, I was just saying before, we didn't have a real prohibition in Australia, although they did have it in the Australian Capital Territory, which is just the area around Canberra. But what we have had is we have dry areas where you can't, like the beach, you can't take alcohol in certain parks and stuff. But what they have had is they had there were certain places that couldn't sell after a certain time. But what you were talking about, how it controls race and stuff like that, is there is a form of prohibition on a lot of First Nation and Indigenous lands in Northern Territory. That's what they have now, because they say a whole heap of stuff which is shit. It is basically. It's
I
about
don't disagree with you.
yeah. So it is about control. So even though we didn't have full-on prohibition over here, they have had to do with people of colour controlling what they have with alcohol over here as well.
Yeah.
So
thank you, Karen, for sharing that insight. For those of us who are not familiar, it's very helpful.
Yeah.
And I like Ian's statement here that prohibition against magic seems to be a nationwide Jim Crow law against mostly colored mages and the lower classes. And Ian, I believe you're correct. I share your opinion. So before we get too far into the magic system, Alicia, did you have something else to add to our conversation?
I was just saying that a lot of the campaigns were fear mongering of just villainizing African Americans and anyone else who was foreign, that they would get drunk and take advantage of your women and ruin your neighborhood and blah blah blah. And that's where all that comes from, that we still have.
Yes.
Yes. The idea of the ghetto being where you don't go unless you live there.
The temperance movement out of England also has some very complicated history with immigration and race as well. So it's very it's never the simple picture that's presented of, Carrie Nation and her axe hitting the bars to protect women from the ravages of drunken husbands. It's a much more complicated and racist history. So I don't love it.
I read a whole bunch of this during the lockdown. So
So you're fresh.
Well, because I had this random idea, and it's not a story. I don't think it's going to be a story. But anyway, moving on. Unrelated.
Thank you, Alicia. All right, Lady June Squirrel, now is your moment. Let's talk about the photographs. I think that's
the photograph.
important.
That was like I don't know, I guess it's because I'm a very visual person, and those photos just hit me so hard. They were all taken out of the Library of Congress, so they are actual photographs from the times. And you have the people in their wagons moving out all their property out of places, and I thought they added so very much to the book. And I also just thought of another thing I wanted to say. Did you notice about the necromancy, who are doing death magic, which is based on diesel and on coal and oil, which are dead because they're dead animals from the past. And I was like, oh God, and we're going through that shit right here in the United States right now with Venezuela and clean coal. There, now I've said my piece.
No, look, one of the things that Bill and I discussed as we were getting ready for our chat today was how many themes in this book set in the past really resonate with our modern experience. And one of those themes is this tension between modernization through fossil fuels and the ravages that has wrought on the whole planet. And I guess I'm going to be a little bit polemic, so please bear with me. But that burden is often borne the most by people of color, people of lower economic social class, and people in nations that have been farmed by first world nations, if you will. And so I think that theme is very impactful, very powerful in the context of this book because of what, in part, what we're witnessing now. And it's so it just really hit me quite hard as I was reading it. So I'm glad you brought it up, Lady Jude Squill. Also, the photographs are really powerful and beautiful. And I love that in the author's note at the end, she mentions that it was the photographs that inspired her to write the story in the first place, because they are so powerful. And I also really liked that Peregrine has her own little brownie camera that she's taking around and taking photographs with, because I think it's just another one of those wonderful full circle moments. Would anyone else like to share their feelings about the photography? Yes, Karen.
I love the way, as you see the photos, one, we're seeing some real history photos, which is great, that we probably would not have necessarily have seen. But it gives hints, especially with the little comments on what is going to happen at the end without actually telling you what's going to happen at the end. And you sort of get the spoiler hint that Laura or Peregrine is going to be basically written out of their history and made the villain because she doesn't fit the mold that they can control and that they want. So you can see that happening like about halfway through. I'm going, well, this is not going to end well. But she does it in such a way that you still want to keep reading it to see what happens. It's not necessarily a spoiler. It's sort of a little bit of a dangle to say what is going to go on. You're going, no, this can't happen, but of course it does. So I like the way she used that with real photos of real people, because it's sort of, to me, I felt like I could, not that I can because I'm white, but that you could sort of feel how these people in these pictures have probably been written into history and just forgotten about as well. And that was devastating and sad and all those lots of emotions. But I did like the way that they were used for that.
Yeah, it's really lovely. And I want to come back to this because I have some additional thoughts myself. But I know, Cindy, you have your hand up. So what are your thoughts about the photography?
Well, I really like the way that I don't like the way that popped up. Okay. My screen is now blocked by this. Okay. So the pictures of the people in the buckboards going away from their homes and the abandoned towns and all that, it was caused by the Dust Bowl, which is the kind of destruction that was being caused by the necromancy. And so the way that she like took the actual history and rolled it into this other interpretation of the world, and really like did this alternative history that like took real history and real photographs and real people and just made it made the story that much more impactful while still getting it so it gave you like this interesting story while still getting all this like it was like giving you a spoonful of sugar to get the racial tension messages across, to make it like, so we've got this group where we don't have any Black people in this group, but we're all talking about these extreme racial prejudices that were going on at that time.
Yeah.
And we all enjoyed the book and enjoyed all the people and part of what allowed us to do that better with this book than with Dread Nation, which was uncomfortable to read, was that she made the way that she reinterpreted the history.
Yeah.
And
I thought it was very I think you are hitting on something that I personally found very powerful in the story. And we've got like this great conversation going on in the comments in the chat here about it. And Sharon, would you share, so everyone who's watching on YouTube, about your feelings about seeing the typical Dust Bowl pictures versus what we see in the book?
Yeah, I feel like, a lot of the Dust Bowl pictures that are out there that everybody knows, like if you say, "Oh, what's a picture of the Dust Bowl?" You think of the Henry Fonda movie, you think of the photographs by Dorothy, blanking out on her name, but the mother at the door with the crying babies,
Yes.
you see they're mostly white people,
Yes.
taken by white photographers, printed
Yes.
in magazines that were read by white Americans,
Mm.
during the 1930s. And, so of course they wouldn't be printing pictures of African Americans and how they were impacted by the Depression and the Dust Bowl and the abandonment of their farms and their homes and their livelihoods. And so it was nice to see those pictures and go, yeah, where have not seen those pictures before. Have those pictures been? I mean, I love collecting magazines and books of, here's the 100 greatest pictures of all times. Here are the most impactful photographs that have ever been taken. And I have lots of those books in my home, and I don't remember seeing any, or not many, that feature Native Americans and how they were impacted, and the African Americans and how they were impacted. We don't see that. So it was nice to see that in this book.
Absolutely. Thank you, Sharon. I think that's a very important aspect of this, and also relating to what Kelsey said about the author's note at the end and the importance of having internet access to these kind of historical documents. And Terry, you're a librarian, so I know you have some thoughts on this. I also want to throw into the pot that right now we have a thing happening here in the States where this kind of history is actively being removed from many government websites and hidden, so we don't have as much access to it. So it feels even more powerful right in this moment. Terry, would you like to add to the conversation a bit?
New phone, can't find the things. The digitization project is amazing. We went through it here. We have a very large rare book collection in Detroit, and we went through the digitization of all the arts that are in the vault. So they're not available in any book form. The only way you can see most of them is because they've been digitized. And that process for us took better than 7 years. We had a task force, and that's just ours. That's not even Library of Congress.
Wow.
And yeah, I'm going to tell you, the public librarians are standing firm to not eliminate history books and literature.
Really stalwart librarians. Oh no, I'm tearing up. I'm sorry. You and your comrades are doing so much right now, and I really admire that work. But you hit on some of why this is so important and so powerful, because much of it is not available otherwise. And Sharon really illuminates why it is so important to have access to this, because it colors the way we view history by erasing an entire portion of our population and their historical contributions. So I really appreciate that you both added that to our discussion today. And Lady June Squirrel, I'm so glad you were like, we need to talk about these photographs. It's a very important part of the story and of the book. So good on you for bringing us to that point. I recommend everyone, like pull on these threads a little bit, go down the rabbit hole. I love following the rabbit holes myself. Something we're sort of dancing around a bit is the Great Migration, which was happening at the time of the Dust Bowl, which Karen was like, what's the Dust Bowl? Thank you, everyone, for explaining the Dust Bowl in the chat. But the Great Migration, if you are not familiar, was this massive movement of African Americans from the Southeast to the North, the Northeast, the Northern Midwest, and the Western part of the United States that started in the 1910s and was really like going full steam, if you will, in the 1930s and 1940s. Something like 5 million African Americans moved from the Southeast into these other parts of the country, and they were looking for all sorts of things, but to be removed from the sharecropping system, and Jim Crow was a huge portion of it. So that's also an important piece of this conversation. All right. And now that I've gone on a bit of a monologue myself, let's see. Ronald, we haven't heard from you in a while, and you always have such wonderful insights on the story. And I'm curious if you have anything you'd like to add to our current conversation about the photography and the use of the historical context.
Yes, that was one of the things that impressed me about the book. You know, there is so many sections in the book that are like history lessons. And usually I look at those as info drops and info dumps, and they aren't very good on most books. These are excellent. I just like those as much as the story because I was all the story was raising all kinds of questions, and I'm saying, well, I know what she's doing with transporting the prohibition to magic and all the things involved, and the persecution is changed towards magic and all of that. But I was wondering, I had all these questions, and she was answering them a little bit at a time, and I love that. I have a tendency, since I read on a Kindle, I highlight. There's about well over a third of the book is highlighted. Things that impressed me, that they were there, that I said, I would like to go back and look at this again. Sometimes it's just a sentence. Sometimes it's like 3 or 4 paragraphs all together where everything is coming in. And I was just so absorbed in this
Yeah.
this that she was actually doing, how the way she was doing it. And I'm going like, oh my Lord, this is just I would love to see more and more of this
Yeah.
because there's just so much there that she doesn't touch on. And the history, I love history. And this was a book I had questions about it before I started reading it. I said, "Am I going to enjoy this?" All I had to do was read about 3 paragraphs, and then I was in.
Yeah.
I said,
Yeah, that
"Go!" And I stayed up hours and hours and hours reading it at night, going to bed at 4 o'clock in the morning because I was just so wrapped up in it. So it was just a fascinating read for me. And the historyness of it was what really intrigued me. I really like that.
Thank you. Thank you, Ronald. And I'm so happy you enjoyed the book because I think you hit the nail on the head there. All right. I was remiss and because Terry asks so thoughtfully, can we talk about Ohio, the Ohio deep blight? Terry, would you please kick us off on that discussion?
Okay, Alicia and I might have a problem here. You're from Ohio, Alicia?
No,
Michigan.
No, my mom's family is from Elwood City, which is Western Pennsylvania.
Ah, okay.
So
Historically, Michigan and Ohio went to war in 1835.
Oh.
They still battle it out, but on the sports fields and in the streets. After somebody wins, cars from the opposite state can be turned over. It's so having the blight set in Ohio was very, very funny to me. I don't follow the sport, so I don't care. But having driven through Ohio a number of times, it often seems like it might be blighted. It's flat and it seems to take forever. So I had a big chuckle over that part. There are some wonderful places in Ohio, and Michigan and Ohio both benefited greatly because of the Great Migration. The factories up here and in Ohio brought a lot of people for working and salaries. No, not the bucks. Only if you're eating them. But that was, I just found it not, and that's Buckeyes. It's a candy.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's an Ohio-based candy. Yes.
Ohio's a weird place, man.
Yeah. That was just,
thank
that
you.
was
I'm
just,
like, I have no idea, none whatsoever. I was like, who, what? I know nothing. I've only been to Ohio once, but I do know that Columbus and Cincinnati have like a big, everything's so far apart there, right? But
so far
also,
apart in Ohio.
they were very part of the Industrial Revolution.
Yes.
So
Yes.
yeah.
Yeah. Michigan is actually longer, but it seems like it takes longer to get through Ohio if you're driving because it is so flat and there's no scenery. We have hills and lakes and all kinds of things.
Yeah.
Karen, football mostly, but basketball also. Kind of anything. It's just a long time rivalry. Yep.
I think it's anything collegiate, pretty much.
Yeah, it is
Amazing.
collegiate now because we have Michigan State and U of M, and they have Ohio State.
I went to Ohio State.
Who?
Me.
Marty.
Yes. I did not let the door. I didn't let the door hit me on the way out.
Right?
Well, this is excellent insight. Thank you. I had no idea about this cultural tensions between Michiganers and Ohioans. Is that what they're called?
I
And
also
so,
lived
but
in New Jersey, and I swore I'd do anything to get out. And so when my husband said, "You want to get married?" I said yes, because it meant I left New Jersey. I had fun with this book.
Romantic Marty. I did want to share that as you were talking, Terry, about how Ohio felt like to you, it could easily be a blighted place. That it made me think of Infinite Jest, which is definitely not a steampunk book. It's literary fiction by David Foster Wallace, and it has the Great Ohio Desert in it. It's a whole weird thing in which the government of Ohio decided to create a desert as a tourist attraction. So anyway, it's a ridiculous piece of fiction. I don't mean that as it's just a very complicated, interesting bit of fiction. So, but also Ohio apparently draws some sort of blighted energy to it. I'm so sorry, everyone who is from Ohio. You're all lovely. So, thank you, Terry, for bringing up Ohio and the blight there. I was surprised. I expected it to be centered in like Oklahoma or Kansas because of the Dust Bowl, to be honest. So I was happy to go on this journey. But one of the questions I have for all of you before we wrap up is like the magic system here. Very fascinating, complicated, a lot going on. Really liked it for a complex system of magic. But I'm curious, we have a lot of dedicated fantasy readers here. I know we've got some fans of Tolkien and all sorts of things. So would you all like to talk a little bit about the magic system? Karen, you're waving a lot, so you have to get us started.
Okay, so it was really nice to have a magic system that was a bit different than the standard that you read. And I love the fact that they had the raveling, and I gather not having it as my background, that it was influenced by Caribbean and possibly traditional African folklore and traditions and stuff like that. Is that correct? Having come from that area, yeah.
Yes.
But I and they had different types, and of course, then they went and outlawed different types. But I really did like that it was different, and obviously she knew what was what, and she'd thought it out, because that's probably one of the biggest hassles I have with some fantasy books is they don't really. They have a magic system, but they haven't got rules. Even if the reader doesn't know the rules, the writer needs to know the rules, and there needs to be boundaries. Even though you always get there's always the prophesied one or the chosen one that can do the extra stuff. And I must admit, I've been guilty of writing that myself. But they need to have boundaries, at least for most people, because then if you get someone who's extraordinary and can do other stuff. But and I actually had notes on it. I'm trying to find my notes. And the way that the necromancy was connected to the rise of tech, and it's just different areas, and the witchcraft was separate, and she definitely thought about it before she jumped into it, if that makes sense. So yeah.
Yeah. Thank you, Karen. Yes, you made sense. I do think it's a well thought out system of magic. So Chuck, we haven't heard from you in a while. What did you think about the magic system in the book?
So my understanding is sort of like voodoo, which was basically the Caribbean rituals and mystique and African, and it's kind of all mixed together, and it got mixed together in New Orleans. So I don't know that I don't know why I said that, but the magic system was very is how there were all kinds of different ways to do things, and how you had to use like the seeds to get the energies from I forget how they were using it. Certain seeds would do certain things, but she's like, these ones are no good, but these ones would be good, and have a little twig of something, and using that. And then there was the crystal who was using the who was bringing up rocks out of the dirt, and how they it's just very intricate and very lots of details. And like Karen was saying, it's like she really put some thought into it, and she really knew how the magic systems, how it all worked. So it came into the story. It's just telling the story revealed the rules and laws and how the magic works, not just just saying, well, this is it, and that's what they are, kind of thing.
Yes. Yeah, I think it's so well done. And as you say, she really reveals it through the story rather than just being like dry exposition. Here's how the rules of magic works, and how it felt very organic to the story and the world. And that magic system told us a lot about the nature of the world at the same time. Was very helpful. We're steampunk readers, and so steampunk sometimes will have some magical elements. There's a lot of like magical woo-woo science, right? And so to have something like this very organic magic compared to the mechomancy, which is more like the steampunk tech, I also thought was a really interesting juxtaposition in the story.
I agree. Yeah, it's nice.
Yeah. Thank you, Chuck. And thanks for letting me like put you on the spot like that. But you always have great insights, and you hadn't spoken for a while, so I wanted to give you a moment. Would anyone else like to add to the discussion on the magic system? Yes, Ronald.
Yes, pardon. That was one of the things that I was really, really interested in, because I noticed really early in the story where she started talking about the different brands of the magic, the names for a specific kind of magic, and a mage was only allowed to do one thing, and it was forbidden to even try to mix anything together, which is the logical thing to do, which is what Laura, it was just her innate root kind of magic that she was taught that's what you do. You go in, you take bits from nature, from every single piece that's out there, you mingle it. And then when she just casually is having conversations with the unicorn and other animals, which is forbidden. It was just when somebody when she tries to keep it quiet that she does this, that she knows that she it has this ability because they're going to look at her strangely. But it was just so interesting how everything is wrapped up in her. She has all of the magic, even the little necromancy, you find out. And so she's the whole package. She's just the magic is all hers for her use. And so that I just found it very fascinating. I like the way everything was, how they broke it apart and then it came together in her.
Yeah, yeah, I love that too. I thought it was a wonderful analogy for so many things in history. And I felt it was a very powerful part of the story, the way that worked in Peregrine. Um, Cindy, you had your hand up, so I'm going to call on you, friend.
Raising my hand a lot. Okay.
A plus.
Do I get a star? Okay.
You too.
So I liked the way that most people had a primary affinity, and then like the more powerful you were, the more affinities you had, and the stronger your secondary affinities were. And the imposition of the rule that you could only have one affinity was just very artificial, and imposed by the people who were not. It did seem like the natural affinities and the ability to use the magic was very concentrated in the Black community, and and the but then so were the necromancers, were they all Black and they were working with the people that were creating the mechanical things to
No. I don't think they were all Black. I think the necromancers
were white.
Yeah, I think they were a combination of people, and that
they had the KKK in there too.
Right, my suspicion, and there are lots of open places, so this is my interpretation of the text, not fact, I'm not the author, but my suspicion is that much like the transatlantic slave trade, there were some people from Africa who were, in partnership with people who were from Europe, and so it was largely European, but also there were collaborators in Africa. And so there were probably necromancers from the African continent who were collaborating with Europeans and probably did not have a real full sense of what they were collaborating with, if you know what I mean. So
yeah, no, I was wondering if innate magical power was limited to people of African descent.
Oh, I don't think so. And
This
maybe
seemed to be more prevalent at any rate.
Or maybe because
More natural.
because the white populace, the people of European descent, had embraced mechomancy. They were channeling all of their gifted young people into this very ravenous field rather than allowing them to develop their skill set, right? So there's that one young boy in the early scene at the diner who's making the food and does a bad does a bad job, and Peregrine is like, oh, he'll get a slap on the wrist and he'll get sent to one of those mechomancy academies where he'll get a great education and go on to do these things. But you know what, he could have been doing something else, right? So yeah
and it just seems like complete idiocy to me to embrace the necromancy when it's causing all this environmental destruction.
Yeah.
And and you could be channeling that power in a different direction.
Yeah, I agree.
It's just mind-boggling to me. It's like you start down this path and you're like, oh my God, now we have to counter it constantly.
Yeah.
Why would you not be like, oh, maybe we should rethink this?
Maybe we should. Yeah, no.
I mean,
Ian, I see.
maybe we should rethink rolling back all the EPA regulations too.
Maybe we should.
But,
Maybe we should.
Hmm.
Opinions.
Yes.
Ian, I see your hand up, but also I want to call on Sharon, who's been sharing some wonderful insights about the sort of racist analog around all of this, the magic system. Sharon, would you like to share some of your thoughts on that?
It's just it. I feel again, it's the government felt threatened. You know, they couldn't control what was happening in the backwoods. They couldn't control what was happening in the little rural areas in the communities. They couldn't control the neighborhoods in the big cities, the where the Harlem Renaissance and things like that. You know, they couldn't control it. When they were developing more magics, and so they just had to make it illegal, you know, that you can't blend your magics. And of course, you know, the more magics you have, the more powerful you are, and the more likely you are to be able to take over the government.
Yeah.
Who aren't as
More likely
powerful
you
as
are,
you
more likely you are able to resist
to
unjust
revolt.
laws. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah. I think that that is at the heart of the analogy here. It really rooted in the way the story is being told and the magic system. I think it's an important theme to the story. So thank you for bringing that up, Sharon. I really appreciate it. All right, Ian, you very patiently have your hand up. What are your thoughts, my friend?
For the environmental aspect, I feel like that is like I look at England, London during like turn of the century and the Industrial Revolution. You know, the fog was so thick that it was actually smog at that point. Like they there's a disconnect between the environmental impacts that they're seeing and like the economy. Like one of the things that she does kind of beat you over the head with is the mechamancy is just so core to the economy that they can't carve it out. And you know, with that, you don't really get like I feel like again, like I haven't made that far into the book, but I feel like between the mechamancy importance and then the prohibition and some of the other like industrial control laws, it's all just tying back to who's a power player in Washington or in New York and then pushing that aside. I think you'll see. I don't know if they talked about restoration of like national parks yet and national monuments, because that was a big thing.
No, they don't get into that, but you're right. That was a big thing in the New Deal in the 1930s and 40s and part of the CCC and the WPA and all of that. So
that might be too early. I feel like if they explore it in another book, you'll probably see natural, like once the whole monument part of it, like I feel like that's something that is a great place to explore that cultural tension where you want to preserve these beautiful places, but you've also got all of this vomitous industrialization that's happening, and how do you bridge those gaps? I mean, the EPA didn't get started until like the 1970s, right? So it's like a fairly new organization in terms of like timeline. So yeah, I would be interested to see if they include Native Americans in a second or third book that again kind of like as the timeline advances, what happens there. And plus we haven't seen World War II yet, so I'd be curious to see if she's even going to touch that.
Yes. I just really want another book, Ian, and you hit on some really good topics that I hope come up in that book. Karen, to answer your question, some national parks of note would be Yosemite or oh my gosh, the one in Montana with Old Faithful. That has a name. Yellowstone, thank you. Those. Mount Rushmore, which is a national monument, is complicated because it is not very sensitive or thoughtful to the indigenous populations. So that one, yes, but also complicated. Yosemite, Yellowstone, places like that, Muir Woods, the Redwood Forest. These are wonderful, beautiful places. The Grand Canyon. If you ever come to the United States, Karen, those places are all very far apart too. So we can't take you.
What do you mean far apart?
I know you're in Australia. Everything's far apart there too. At
We
least
won't
you'd
be
be
going for a
prepared.
little while though, because I don't think we'd actually qualify for a visa at the moment with everything. So with family.
No. Yes.
Yeah. There's
Yes.
nothing. We drive 8 hours to Melbourne just for a weekend or a day event. Woo!
80 hours, that's fine. That's fine. You'll get on fine. All right, my darlings, we are coming to the end of our time. And I must say, it is very clear to me we could keep discussing this book. It's such a wonderful piece of fiction. It's so juicy and so full of great details. I'm delighted we could read Rust in the Root by Justina Ireland. If you are listening to this later on YouTube, if you cannot tell, we all really love this book and I highly recommend it. Please read all of Justina Ireland's works, but especially read this one. And to all of you who are here today, my goodness, you brought so many wonderful comments and insights. This has been a delightful conversation. I loved this book and I'm so happy I got to chat about it with all of you. And I only had to torment Bill a very little bit. So well done, all of you. Bill was able to sneak by without having to answer that many questions. And I can tell he's very relieved. We do have our month off in March. For those of you here in the States, that is when Wild Wild West Con happens, which is our biggest event of the year for many of us often. But we'll be back in April with Martha Wells' The Emily Adventures. Now, this book is 2 books in one. So it's a duology. It's a re-release of the books. I highly recommend them. Martha Wells is such a brilliant writer. And I'm very excited to discuss these with you. You may know Martha Wells from the Murderbot books, which have really taken off in the last couple of years. Well, it turns out that Miss Wells has been writing beautiful things for several decades, and she wrote some steampunk stories just for us. So please get into this. Join us in April. Karen's like, are we reading 1 or 2? I think you should try and read both. You'll want to read the second one. So Miss Wells will not be joining us in April. She's much too busy, alas. Although I'm very happy for her to be busy. So I'll be tormenting you again in April. So please prepare accordingly and bring your own questions as well. And for those who do not know, this is the very last Wild Wild West Con in March. So I and the Grand Arbiter will be absolutely streaming as many of our panels and events as we can for those who cannot be there in person. But next year in 2027, our book club schedule may change. And maybe we'll have book club in March because we will not have Wild Wild West Con being the sort of little binary star that's pulling us into a sort of gravity well that's all about Wild Wild West Con. So The silver lining is we might get more books. But as Bill says, that April's book, the official title is The Emily Adventures. Karen has it up on the screen. Bill has it up on the screen. It's a beautiful book. I have one last plug before we say good night, my darlings. We are getting ready to celebrate our Tippy Golden Teacup Awards on Friday. And one of the things we do is we pick a book of the year. You were all there for book club last year. You need to vote if you have not voted yet. And look, I am going to ask kindly that if you have a particular favorite, that you don't load the votes too much on that one book. So please do not go in and vote 100 times for one book, all right? It really throws off the metrics. But if you have a favorite, please go in, vote for that favorite, help us break the tie. We want to make sure to celebrate the author and their book. All of our books last year were really wonderful. We have a 5-way tie. So, and I understand why, but I've posted the link in the chat and I'll post it again in Discord and in the Facebook group. So if you are not able to grab that link right now, you'll have a couple of other opportunities to vote. But please vote. We'll be cutting off those votes, I believe, on Thursday. So we can announce the winner on Friday during the show. The show will be happening at 6:30 p.m. Pacific. It will be streamed live onto YouTube, Facebook, and Twitch, but I recommend watching on YouTube. It is by far the best platform for our shows. So please vote, please share the love, and thank you all for a really wonderful book chat today. It's been such a pleasure. We'll see you next time in April with The Emily Adventures by Martha Wells. All right, cheers, everybody.